back to PilotRc. Today, part 2 of the Skywolf version 2 assembly series. In this belt that followed in your package, there are 3 bags with fiberglass rudder horns, and they are here. The one with 8 is for the ailerons and the flaps. The one with 4 is for the elevator or horizontal stabilizers. And the one with 2 is for the vertical stabilizer or side rudder. So we're going to paint these today. But there's one important thing, and that is that the bottom of them you shouldn't paint, because this is going to stick to some epoxy and of course inside your rudder. So what you actually want to do after you have painted them is to sand these a little bit down. So what you want to do is to get some cardboard of any kind. I have this, which was just laying around here, and I'm going to cut a little incision here. And I will stick this so that it's almost all the way to where this stopping plate goes. Like this. So I'm going to do that with all these hinges, and I'm just going to spray paint it. And these as well, I'm going to spray paint, but only one side, because of the underside. You want to take a little piece of that coating between the slots, remove that with a sharp knife so that it sticks good to epoxy. Okay, so about 1 hour later, and I'm done painting the rudder horns. You can see them here. And you can also see that I haven't painted the bottom of them, because that's the contact points for the epoxy and the plywood in the rudder. It's not the correct color. You can see here. This is the orange that is on the plane, of course. And here you can see almost. But one thing you need to remember though, when I started to put these ones in the cardboard, some plastic was loosening from one of the rudder horns, and make sure that you check everyone that they don't have the plastic if you're going to paint them. Also, if you're going to glue them, because this can result in a bad day at the airfield. So I have checked everyone, and it was just one that had the plastic on them. So the rudder horns are done. The next thing I'm going to do now is to put the landing gear on the main frame so that it's easier for me to work with it. The tail wheel assembly is quite simple, and in this model the screws are already attached to the tail, so you just have to loosen them, put some Loctite on them, and then install the tail wheel. So I have found the landing gear, and you can check your belt with all the screws and other accessories, and you can see one bag with 4 bolts in, and that's the one for the landing gear. And of course use a lot of Loctite, strong Loctite for the landing gear. So as you can see, there are 2 bolts here. They are already in the airframe when you are receiving the airplane. So we are taking these off, and there goes the tail wheel. And remember, do not over tighten them, but tighten them well. That's always a fine balance. Always after a shakedown, that means when you are running in your engine, it should be standing on the plane because of the vibration. Less vibration for the engine, it will move more freely when it's in the airplane. After you have run it for a tank or 2 with fuel, go through all the screws and make sure that nothing has loosened. So I'm done mounting the landing gear and the wheels. This will help me keep the model steady instead of it slipping backward and forward on the table and perhaps scratching it. So this is how I like it. Other people has it on a cradle and do the work from there, but then again, this is my preference. We're going to take a look at the vertical stabilizer. This one needs a little bit fitting and not that much as I needed on the old one, but you need to test fit it a few times to see that you really get it in the slots. And the most important thing is this top here, that you get full contact with the glue on the whole stab. That is important. And of course, what I notice is that this piece, this end piece, is a little bit too long, so I can't push it far enough down, and that means that I will have some gaps on the trail here. Let me show you. Like this. When I push the vertical stabilizer down now, I have a gap here, and I don't want to have that. I really want it to be all the way down, but then again it's pushing towards the bottom here, so I need to do something about that. It can also be that it is some irregularities in the shape here. I used a ruler to see if it was all flat. There was some irregularities in it, but not much, and I'm now using a clamp just to hold the top down, and other than that everything is in place, so this will be okay. So while we are waiting for the glue to dry on the vertical stabilizer, I thought we could start with the wing and glue the rudder horns into the slots, the pre-made slots, which we are very happy about. One thing to take in consideration: when you get these rudder horns, the end points are a bit long, so they won't fit into the hole. In the flap side, they will barely fit, but in the aileron side, they won't fit. So you need to cut off a little bit of the end points of them, but it's quite easy when you have the right tool, like that, and like that. So we are going to test fit them so they fit into these slots. Beautiful. And beautiful. So now we know that they fit, and before we glue them in, we need to do something. And that is, if you see the point between the slots, you want to remove that so you have bare material, so that it will hook better to the plate here when you are gluing the rudder horns down. You don't have to do it, but it will give a much stronger structure to the rudder horns. And if you see, there's a hole in them, and there's also trails here. That is for the epoxy to mix around it so it's stuck in the slots. We have a little spatula here which came with the tubes, so we're going to use that one to force some of the epoxy into the slots. When you feel that the epoxy is starting to get very thin, then you have to hurry up. And I'm making these videos for entertainment purpose, hoping that you guys perhaps want to buy one and try to build one yourself, or not build but assemble one. Build a little bit. It's important that you find it right away if you have spilled some epoxy, because it's so sad when you are messing up your model by being sloppy. Also make sure that the plates are having a good contact with the surface of the rudder. As you saw in the part 1 video, I'm going to use the new Power HD servos. It's this one, has flaps and ailerons. And I do not center the servos now because they are outside, so I don't have to. I can center them when I have installed the receiver. Since I'm going to use flaps as aileron as well, I want to have both servo arms in 90 degrees like this, so that I can have the same movement on flaps and aileron when I use the flaps as well. It won't give me much less flaps when landing, but it's a much better feature for me, and I like the way that this plane flies when you're using flaps as aileron as well, because you have a much bigger rudder area and the plane is really rolling and moving. There's the new update. You have this turnbuckle in the middle, so you can just use that little wrench that comes with this kit and you are good to go. So now I know how long they are going to be. I'm going to set them all up for the same length and continue with the other wing and see you in just a click. Okay, so I'm completely done with this wing. I haven't put the link arms on it yet, but I will take that when I have centered the servos, and I'm going to use some longer arms, of course, aluminium arms. So I'm done mounting the servos, the rudder horns. I believe that this is more than enough flaps, and of course I can use it as aileron as well with the setup that I like. So I'm now done with both the main wings. I have installed the servos and still not servo horns or the links for it. As I was saying, I'm going to wait until I have connected the receiver before that. I have also glued the rudder horns for the horizontal stabilizer, and here comes one of the new cool features of the Skywolf version 2. Actually, I'm a bit confused because in the motor mount of this Skywolf version 2 it says version 3, but perhaps that is the motor mount. I don't know, I haven't checked it out quite thoroughly yet, but that's for the other video. One of the cool things though, in this belt of accessories, there's one small bag which it says for stabilizer. There's only one bag that is marked, and that is that one. It contains with 2 bolts, 2 chims, and 2 rubber rings. So I was wondering, how am I going to mount these wings and fasten them to the fuselage, because I couldn't see any threaded stuff inside this hole where it's supposed to be. But then I put my finger in here and I could feel something, and here it is. I'm not sure if you can see it. You can move this backward and forward. That means when you are connecting these horizontal stabilizer, you can just take this all the way in front, put the stabilizer in here, just push that backwards and tighten it. Ta-da! There you have it. If it would hold, I'm not sure. I haven't heard anybody complaining about this, and when I only see one build thread of this one, and that one had the horizontal stabilizer that you would thread into the fuselage. So I'm not sure if it's just clickbait or what it is, but anyway, this one is easy peasy. And here you can see the rudder horns. And what I'm going to do now before we are ending this video is that I'm going to install the servos here for the horizontal stabilizer and the vertical stabilizer, and of course I'm also going to put on the rudder horns here as well. I haven't forgot it, but I was going to do it at the end of this video. This arm poking out from the tail wheel is supposed to be attached with this one. I'm not sure if you can see it. It's just a small ball link. So you thread that one in here. You're supposed to put it inside the side rudder. I'm not sure what I did last time. If I drilled a hole that is almost as big as this one, just roughen it with a sharp knife, add some epoxy and just put it in and let it stay there. Okay, so I'm done mounting the servos, and I got a little panic, almost a panic attack. Thought I needed to buy new servos because my old servos were too big. They keep touching each other. But then I got an idea, because I remember from the first version that I used plywood spacers that comes with the kit in that bag of a lot of hardware, wood hardware. So when I used them, everything was okay, and I was like, oh my god, I saved some money there though. But I couldn't figure it out before I just got the idea and went through that hardware bag. And as you can see here, there's a plywood shim underneath the servo. You can paint this white and do it much better. I will do that perhaps later, but not now. For me, it's important just to get the plane ready. Do not rush anything. The space for the horizontal stabilizer servos is a less smaller than your servos would be, ordinary or standard servos. But it's laser cut, so you can see it from the other side that you need to peel off some pieces, but this is pretty thick layer of plywood, so I used a Dremel to get it loose, and then the servos will fit. But do not press or use force on anything, because there is some logic to everything, and when it comes to the servos, you need to make more space for them. But remember that where the laser has been is on the downside or towards the vertical stabilizer. So there is the piece that will loosen a little bit, but if you use force on it, you can rip the coating and so on. So I used Dremel because it's much easier, and everything went okay. And I also figured out how I did the side rudder with that knob in it. So I just drilled a little bit bigger hole, roughen the plastic on that ball link, and as you can see, we have rudder. And of course, it's a brand new model, it's shiny and nice, and it will eventually, when you do mount it, turn it upside down, lay it on the side, or whatever you do, it will get some marks. Most of them are easy to remove with a little bit of red spirit or something else without fat in it. So before we end the part 2 of this series of build video of the Skywolf version 2, I thought I would like to show you the horizontal stabilizer, how it works. You can see here you have a screw that you can move forward and backward. And on this wing you have an opening and sort of a hook. So when you mount this into the plane, you can take this all the way forward, and let me just see if I can find the holes, like that, and it slides right in. So and then it's just to snap this on, tight it of course, and you have the elevator ready to fly. And when you're going to dismount it to get it in your car, just unloosen it, just untie it a little bit and move that screw. And of course you need to remove the bowling arms, but hey, that's a small price to pay for being able to put the plane in your car. Inside the fuselage, all the way from these servos and to the first board in the plane, there is a carbon tube where you can thread your wires. I didn't do that because my servo extensions were too small, but I will instead strap them on the side of the tube all the way into the front of the plane. Thank you all for watching. I really love doing these builds, and I do believe that I haven't been this thorough before. I'm by no means a pro builder. I do stuff my way and the way I like when I build airplanes. There is possibly many other ways to do it, many other ways to start on the airplane, but I think that this is great. Some like to have the planes on a cradle, do not mount the wheels, that's the last thing they do. I like to have it this way. And in the third video, we are going to concentrate about the electronics. We are going to set up the radio the way that I like it, with a mix of course, so that I have flaps as ailerons controlled by a button. In the next video we are going to test fit the engine, and then I'm going to clean up the cables inside the airplane and make sure that everything is and hopefully we won't have too much problem installing the engine. But I'm looking forward to that. See you all in the next video. Have a great day.